Hello, my name is Alex Malouf and I am the past chair for IABC EMENA. I'm bringing to you today a recorded webinar on my experiences from Cannes, from the Marketing and PR Festival, and my judging of the 2018 Cannes entries. Why am I doing this? Because essentially Cannes has become one of the biggest events for the PR industry. It is probably the best known worldwide in terms of its awards, including for public relations. This has been controversial because Cannes has traditionally been seen as a marketing event, but it's also probably a sign of the times in terms of how marketing and PR are converging. I had the honor of being the only judge from the Middle East this year, 2018, and I was working with people like the jury president Stuart Smith, who is the global CEO for Ogilvy PR. Now, we had over 2,000 entries, and I was judging around 300 of them. The entries were from all over the world, from Brazil, from Australia, Australasia, from Japan, from South Korea, from North America, Africa, and also as well our region, Europe, Middle East, and North Africa. Now, I want to talk about a couple of insights which I think are important for us as communicators in terms of what we do, not just for best practice, but our day-to-day work. Now, let me begin, and the first one is something we'll be talking about for a long time. It's essentially research. What I noticed was the amount of time that the case studies spent in terms of detailing their research. Now, case studies are given both as videos and also scripts, and I'm going to be showing videos to you, 2 videos for each insight. And the 2 case studies I've chosen here, one is from IKEA in Italy, the other one is from Getty Images and their work in Germany. Both organizations spend a lot of time researching their audience, researching issues of importance, and also as well researching where they wanted the audience to be after the campaign in terms of perceptions and actions. IKEA focused on domestic abuse, which is fitting considering the size of its audience, type of its audience, and also the fact that domestic abuse happens at home. Getty Images focused on the perceptions of homeless people and homelessness in general, and they looked at how they could not only change those perceptions but also as well give people a steady income stream, people who have been suffering from long-term homelessness. So let me play both of them and enjoy.
IKEA is the best place where people can find solutions for a better everyday life at home. Every year, 18 million Italians walk through an IKEA store, walking through their different ideas of home. But what happens if they face the dark side of Italian homes?
Adesso torniamo a occuparci della violenza sulle donne.
I numeri che descrivono gli abusi sulle donne sono spaventosi.
IKEA presents The Room.
Ti ammazzerei quando fai così. Mi fai paura.
An in-store ambient media that gets IKEA customers to stop and live a touching experience by listening to the sound of real domestic violence stories.
Io guadagno.
Ma siamo in treno, perché fai così?
E non rispondere!
Non ti stavo rispondendo. Aia! Mi hai fatto male. Ti provo.
Meanwhile, in every store at scheduled times, there were several theatrical performances of real domestic violence stories with the help of the non-profit Telefono Donna, offering a direct number for a psychological support to the people involved.
IKEA ha realizzato una campagna di comunicazione autonoma molto bella contro la violenza sulle donne.
IKEA has become the loudest brand voice on the topic, involving some of the most influential women in the country, and showing how in Italy, the problem has never had the spotlight that it deserves. Convincing Italians that at IKEA you can find a room for everything, but there's no room for violence.
Ich fühle mich wie ein neuer Mensch. New man. New man.
ist ein Straßenmagazin, das von Obdachlosen verkauft wird. Und wir arbeiten an diesem Fotoprojekt jetzt schon seit über einem Jahr. Es geht darum, darzustellen, dass Dinge, die in der Gesellschaft abgelehnt werden, verachtet werden, diskriminiert werden, dass sie doch einen sehr großen Wert haben.
For this project, we worked with the homeless street vendors of 50/50 as models for classic stock photography. We analysed the download data on Getty Images and transformed the homeless into different roles of common people in the most frequently requested life and work situations. These highly commercial images were integrated into the Getty Images database. All profits from the downloads go directly to 50/50 to help purchase apartments and house the homeless.
Many campaigns reaffirm the image of homeless people as desperate and hopeless. We recognise the role we can play in helping shift negative stigma around the homeless.
More photographers and homeless NGOs worldwide are joining us, turning the project into a bigger movement. Instead of another homeless campaign that only invokes pity, we are challenging people's perceptions and for the first time putting the hopes and possibilities of the homeless under the spotlight.
Du fühlst dich halt irgendwie so wieder privat. Ich habe echt Freude daran gehabt, da mitmachen zu dürfen, ehrlich. Ja.
Now, the other thing you'll notice is both of those campaigns focused on big social issues. This has been a growing trend of the past couple of years, and I've gradually seen, as I've been judging for IABC, for Cannes, and for other awards, that brands are taking an increasingly positive, but also as well increasingly outspoken stance on issues that impact all of us in society. But what has been most noticeable in 2018 with Cannes has been the amount of brands stepping in and saying we want to speak up on issues which impact us, our consumers, our stakeholders and our employees. Now, there's been two areas that brands have looked at this year. One has been the issue of bias, particularly in the area of gender. Gender imbalance, gender bias, and also gender parity have been the issues that many brands have sought to tackle and have become essentially award-winning case studies for others. I'm going to highlight here two campaigns which I loved when I saw them. One is from Scotiabank in Peru, not in Canada, where Scotiabank is from. And their campaign for the price of equality, which looked at the difference in pay between men and women in the country. Now, the second is one which is closer to home, especially to me. It's from Saudi, and it's the car brand Nissan, which sought to tackle the issue of women driving in the kingdom and the prejudices around women driving. Don't forget, Saudi, for the past 30 years, has not let women drive. So this year has changed over that, but Nissan wanted to humanize the story and paint it in a narrative, in a light which all of us can relate to. So let me play those two for you.
Peru is the Latin American country with the highest wage gap between men and women. That gap is 29.2%. Scotiabank, one of the most important banks in the country, decided that it could help draw attention to this problem. That is why, on International Women's Day, Scotiabank went beyond simply giving a message of hope to becoming part of the change. Scotiabank presents The Price of Equality. On March 8th, we changed the prices of products and services from our affiliated stores all around the country. So when our female clients bought them, the products and services cost 29.2% less. A special percentage discount was given to all our female clients to illustrate the wage gap that continues to exist in Peru today. To illustrate wage inequality, we made prices fair to women. We printed Peruvian bills that showed a face amount of 29.2% less than normal to raise awareness of women's lower income compared with men's income. In only 24 hours, we got incredible results. We had an impact on more than 7 million people. Millions of people became aware of the gender wage gap. This campaign achieved an average of 1,600% more shares than competitors' campaigns. We increased purchases with Scotiabank cards by 95%.
Esta campaña es una campaña para generar conciencia, para sensibilizar de que existen diferencias que no son justas y que hay que tomar acción sobre ellas.
Most importantly, on that day, women not only paid a lower price than men, but the Peruvian Congress also approved a law on wage equality, specifying that women should earn the same as men. The price of equality.
You may be interested to know that a few minutes ago, a royal decree has been issued in Saudi Arabia giving women the right to drive.
This was received in the Western world, but in Saudi Arabia, not everybody is happy. Explain what the reaction was.
البابا أول شيء كان مرة مصدوم وكان رافض هذا القرار كثيرة وإنه حتخش في الصيف ومدري إيش عنه ده كلام.
They'll still have to get permission from a male in the family before getting their license.
Women in Saudi Arabia don't need special car offers, they need confidence.
Nissan joins the marketing campaign with this picture of a license plate saying 2018 Girl in Arabic.
They've invited Saudi women to a driving lesson. And wait until you see who the instructors are.
السلام
وعليكم السلام بابا هلا وعليكم السلام الجوك يا زين والله اني فنانة
طيب امشي
قول بنتي فنانة.
People around the world are using hashtag #SheDrives to show their support and share driving tips. They've turned their Instagram page into a driver's guide for women with driving tips and questions for them to learn until June comes.
هذا الموضوع حيصبح في يوم من الأيام history.
طبعا القرار ليه في الآخر تبى تسوق ما تبى تسوق.
Now, gender wasn't the only issue which was tackled. There was another issue, or we can even call it two issues. One is the issue of sustainability, but before we get there, the other big area which was tackled was that of essentially diversity and inclusion. We've all seen what is happening around the world in terms of diversity and inclusion, especially when it comes to race, when it comes to nationality, when it comes to acceptance and rejection. Now, a number of brands really went out of their way to tackle this, and they were very brave to do so. They essentially put out their position and they said, we are for one or the other, whether you like it or not. Particularly when it came to retail brands. One was a supermarket in Germany called Edeka, and I'll show you their campaign now, but it was a powerful rejection of racism. There was a powerful call for inclusion, especially global inclusion, and I'll show you how they did it, or you'll see how they did it shortly. The second is from the company that I work for, Procter & Gamble, their piece, which was named The Talk, followed movements such as Black Lives Matter and sought again to tackle the issue of race as it is in America with African Americans. So enjoy these two very moving case studies.
I will build a great, great wall.
Heute sind wir tolerant und morgen fremd im eigenen Land.
Victors!
Please don't come.
Es ist heute ein Experiment, wo wir alle Produkte rausgenommen haben, die nicht aus Deutschland kommen.
Kaffee nicht, kein Tee, keine Schokolade.
Oh, keine Schokolade.
Nein.
Das ist krass, der Spruch ist echt krass.
Es ist nichts da.
No, it's not a German product. I'm sorry.
Das ist doch Unsinn. Wir sind doch ein offenes Land und erst recht nicht jetzt German first.
Good morning, Britain. The news. A grocery chain in Germany removed all of the foreign food.
German supermarket Edeka in Hamburg made a statement against racism and celebrated diversity.
Bueno, pues un supermercado en Alemania ที่จะแสดงออกให้ผู้คนเข้าใจว่า Who said that?
The lady at the store.
That is not a compliment.
Listen, it's an ugly, nasty word, and you are going to hear it. Nothing I can do about that. But you are not going to let that word hurt you. You hear me?
A company best known for selling soap is hoping to start a new discussion about race.
Have you seen this ad from Procter & Gamble? It is called The Talk, and it is generating a lot of discussion on social media.
A 2-minute ad released online last month showing black mothers sharing their truths about bias and racial stereotypes growing up in America.
Now, when you get pulled over...
I'm a good driver, okay?
Baby,
don't worry.
This is not about you getting a ticket. This is about you not coming home.
Tweets about it range from outrage, line crossed, I'm not a racist, but it seems you are, to support, thank you for a thought-provoking commercial. I was emotionally touched.
Remember, you can do anything they can. Difference is you gotta work twice as hard and be twice as smart.
It's not fair. But you keep showing up.
What enables people to do is to have conversations about bias. When you have conversations and promote dialogue, that promotes understanding.
We believe it's an important conversation that we need to have in our community to address the bias so that we can get over it.
And share with everyone the conversations that we've been having over the decades.
We want to do this right. We want to be respectful. We want to create dialogue.
You are not pretty for a black girl. You are beautiful, period. Okay? Don't ever forget that.
Again, both powerful pieces. Now, I don't think I spoke too soon when I said sustainability. Why did I factor in sustainability in the last slide? It's because sustainability was one of the areas and issues that Gen Zers focused strongly on. It wasn't the only one, because I'll show you a second case study which isn't anything to do with sustainability, But when it comes to Generation Z, brands have realized two things. One is, again, they've got to talk with their voice, and these two examples show how well these brands have done that. But also as well, you've got to address Gen Zers on issues that they really do care about. And sustainability is one of the biggest issues that they do care about today. So in terms of this insight, I'm going to share with you two exceptional case studies. One is from the sustainability NGO Greenpeace, and it's a campaign to save one of the oldest forests in Poland. And the idea behind it is incredible in terms of how they got Gen Zers to not only learn about the campaign, but actually participate. Now, the second is from the fast food chain in the US, Wendy's. It's best known for its burgers, but also as well, it's become known for the uniqueness of its social media voice. It speaks with Gen Zers in their own language, and you'll see how it's done that shortly. Let me play both for you now.
Przenieśliście Puszczę Białowieską do rzeczywistości wirtualnej. Mam nadzieję, że nie na stałe.
There's a high school kid. He tweeted Wendy's asking how many retweets he'd need to get a year's supply of chicken nuggets, and Wendy's replied 18 million. My Oscar selfie it's holding the record right now, so you're hot on my heels.
Honestly, I just want chicken nuggets.
Nugs for Carter officially broke the record. Carter?
Yes!
Today is hashtag National Roast Day. And it's turned into this thing where everyone wants to be roasted.
This is what I needed to get my morning started off right. Come on, Wendy's, what you got? You're on like 15 different shows and we still had to Google you.
No, it was a rap battle.
Wingstop flavor, bringing all the flavors. They eat us now and they save you for later. We know when a chicken crossed the road, but you crossed the boss and straight got told.
Wendy's has dropped a mixtape.
Redhead with some pigtails, better check the score. These
she literally got out of Twitter and landed on Spotify.
Is this gonna win a fucking Grammy?
Wendy's social media is on fire.
Their Twitter feed is always lit.
So I don't know about you, but I didn't know what a Twitch was, and I really would not have thought about Minecraft for a campaign to save a forest. And also as well, would I have taken a mixtape and put it on Spotify and started a Twitter battle? It just goes to prove a point in terms of how we communicate with the next generation of our audience, and we've got to think like them. We've got to look at the topics which they care about. We've also got to use the same channels that they use. Now, with that, it's the last insight of social media. It's based on social media. It's probably not surprising that social media has or is playing a much more prominent role in many of our campaigns due to its prominence, due to the cost and also the reach that it can provide to us. But what was noticeable was that this year many campaigns were social only. There was no use of traditional. I'm going to highlight two campaigns here. One was from a hospital in Brazil, and again, using the language of Gen Zers, they actually essentially engaged a younger audience using emojis to drive blood donations. Now, the second was from the World Wildlife Fund. It was called Too Latergram, and it was the idea of using Instagram to take people back and view pristine environments which are no longer pristine, which are being destroyed either by climate change or through our own actions. Both were social only. Both also made significant use of influencers and influencer marketing, as well as, in the second case, user-generated content. So let me play both of those for you.
There are thousands of emojis out there, to agree, to curse, and now some of them can save lives. Santa Casa de Sao Paulo presents Emoji, the easiest way to become a reachable blood donor. To be considered by the largest philanthropic hospital in Latin America, simply add one of these already existing emojis, along with the plus or minus character to your name on social media.
As campanhas de massa nas mídias tradicionais sempre atraem muitas pessoas. Nem sempre recebemos o tipo sanguíneo necessário naquele momento para a instituição.
Now, by searching for blood type and place, we can reach the right number of right donors at the right time, contacting each of them directly, and making donations more assertive.
O Twitter é o que está acontecendo agora. Olhando para a campanha da Santa Casa faz super sentido, porque é uma campanha que precisa de urgência. É uma campanha que precisa que as pessoas entendam o que está acontecendo em tempo real.
To kick off the campaign, nationwide celebrities joined us.
E com um simples emoji, vocês podem salvar vidas.
É assim que a Santa Casa, com essa boa ideia, consegue montar a sua rede de solidariedade.
Essa ideia é maravilhosa. Eu amei. Participe.
Even the media have helped us. And by being on everybody's feed, we have raised awareness for the cause.
A Santa Casa de São Paulo atende cerca de 2,5 milhões de pacientes ao ano. E nós necessitamos de cerca de 3 mil candidatos à doação por mês para o atendimento desses pacientes.
With zero budget, Emoji had over 100 million impacts. reaching nearly 30,000 potential new voluntary blood donors. 10 times more than Santa Casa needs.
Now, before I move on to the questions which I received, there's one last point I want to make, which is on the issue of measurement. Smart communicators understand that it's not just simply about reach. It's not just about measuring impressions or even perceived media value. What they're now doing is looking at business KPIs and using those same KPIs for measuring the outcome of their campaigns. So, to give you an example, you've got the simple case studies from the World Wildlife Fund and Greenpeace, and also as well the hospital in Brazil. For charities, it's not difficult to measure the impact through, for example, donations. Hospital in Brazil, it's all about donors. But even if you look at campaigns which are more complex, let's say, for example, Scotiabank on the price of equality, they looked at the business argument and the business case for the work which they were doing, and they measured that. They measured, for example, how much spending had occurred. They also as well looked at the issue of legislation. And what we obviously need to do, if we are going to increasingly influence our business and organizational leaders, is use those same metrics which they understand. And I'm very happy to see that coming through in many of the case studies which I saw. It didn't come through in all of them, but in an increasing number, people were thinking long and hard about how they could measure success in a way that their leadership could understand. Now, I received two questions. One was on the issue of research. Now, in terms of research, I've heard estimates that we should be putting up to 10% of our total budgets in research. Having said that, it's not always easy to do. Often, we are not necessarily the poor cousins of the marketing teams, but we don't receive as much money as other outreach functions like marketing. My advice is twofold. One is look online in terms of what research you can avail. You can even approach the likes of social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Google, and ask them if they have any data, any research which you can look at. The other option is also approaching universities. Increasingly, academia or academics want to engage with the industry. They want to do research which has real-life applications. And I've often dealt with professionals from universities where I'm based, and I've talked to them about doing research on issues that impact me and my work, which I can then use in campaigns. So that is one way that you can look at doing good quality research which will cost you less than, say, a corporate provider of research solutions. Now, the second question which I received was on the issue of causes. It was from a fellow communicator in the Middle East, and she was basically asking, how can we find causes that we can engage on, but causes which are not too controversial, based on essentially what is happening in our region. Now, this is not always easy. There are many topics which are taboo in regions like the Middle East because of culture, because of governance, but my suggestion was looking at issues where there is an alignment with the government and the authorities. So, for example, if you look at the case study from Nissan, they tackled driving in Saudi, and it's an obvious thing for them to do because, one, they're a car brand, but also as well because the Saudi government decided and they announced that they would lift the restriction on women driving. Likewise, sustainability is also a big issue for many countries in EMENA, simply because tourism is a big employer, employs many nationals, and also as well it creates significant revenues for the local economy and local communities. So look at issues which hopefully are relevant to you, but also as well look at issues which have general societal support, either from government and also as well hopefully from the public. You know, if you can match both of them up, then all the better. So that in a nutshell is the webinar over. If you have any other questions, you can always reach me on Twitter at Alex_Malouf. That's MALOUF. And I hope you've enjoyed this IBC webinar. Thank you very much.